room. This is the play that just occurred.
That's like she tries to slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls and makes collision with that lower leg. You see her immediately grab it. And she went down hard and was clearly in a lot of pain.
The arena fell silent in an instant. One moment, Sophie Cunningham was fighting for position under the rim, and the next, she was screaming on the floor, clutching her knee in obvious pain. Fans froze, teammates rushed over, and even opposing players looked shaken. But as Cunningham was helped off the court, the anger inside the arena boiled over. Not just at the sight of a key player injured, but because no foul had been called. This wasn't just an accident. To Fever fans, it felt like deja vu. Yet another dangerous play ignored by referees in a league where player safety is supposed to come first. Bria Hartley's fall into Cunningham's leg wasn't just contact, it was the spark that reignited a bigger conversation. How many injuries have to pile up before the WNBA starts protecting its stars? Outrage poured in immediately. Social media lit up with fans questioning how officials could let the game continue while Sophie lay screaming on the court. Her family joined in, blasting the lack of accountability and demanding answers. To them, and to many watching, this wasn't a freak accident. It was part of a disturbing pattern that's been building all season. And the truth is, Cunningham's injury wasn't the only story of the night. Because while Indiana could have folded under the weight of disaster, what happened next shocked everyone.
Shot clock down to 6 for the Fever. Turner, up fade. Turner kicks it. Hold three-pointer. Bottom!
Indiana,
7 on the shot clock, 25 seconds in regulation.
they gotta get to the rim.
Charles has to hoist and connects. Wow. The Indiana Fever prove their resiliency.
Fever dub! Bow, bow, bow! Dub in the chat. Yeah. And the win goal!
For Indiana fans, Cunningham's collapse wasn't just another bad break. It was the latest entry in a highlight reel nobody wants to see. A reel of reckless plays and mounting injuries that have already defined this season. Think back just a few weeks. Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest draw, sidelined after a brutal groin shot that had fans demanding suspensions. Before that, an eye poke from JC Sheldon left Clark shaken in a way that seemed anything but accidental. Add Marina Mabray's hard foul that flattened her, and suddenly every matchup with the Connecticut Sun feels like a war zone. And here's the alarming part. Through all of it, the whistle rarely blows. No suspensions, no real accountability. Instead, the narrative shifts to toughness and physical play, as if that justifies players being left sprawled across the hardwood night after night. Fans aren't buying it. They see a disturbing pattern, one where Indiana's stars keep getting targeted, yet the league's response is silence. To them, Cunningham's knee injury wasn't a random collision. It was proof of a system that looks the other way until it's too late. And as the Fever walked into this game, that tension was already bubbling. They weren't just battling Connecticut, they were battling a reputation. The idea that Indiana is the team you can bully, the team you can bruise without consequences. But if the injury drama set the stage, the bigger challenge was still to come, because Indiana entered the night already hanging by a thread.
After Phoenix, it was a quick turnaround to figure out, how we're going to play without, Ari and Sid. And now we got to figure out how we're going to play without Soph. And we've got to figure out, who can play in certain roles. What are our substitution patterns going to be? What kind of wrinkles can we throw out there? It doesn't get easier. And I think we come back and have Minnesota twice, right? So it's really good mentally, physically, and emotionally for us. And then it gives us practice time, which we're going to need.
We got Sophie Cunningham writhing around in pain, definitely hurt. And Sophie's one tough cookie. If Sophie's kicking and screaming like this, no Will Farrell. She's in pain. We even have Connecticut Sun players. Look at that. Connecticut Sun players, Connecticut Sun training staff coming up to her as the Fever starts making their way down.
Indiana didn't step into this game with a full deck. They were already down 3-point guards. Caitlin Clark still out from that groin injury in mid-July, Sydney Colson gone for the season with a torn ACL, and Ari McDonald sidelined by a broken foot. That's not just bad luck. That's an entire backcourt erased. Without a natural floor general, Coach Stephanie White was forced to strip the playbook down to its basics. Instead of refining playoff sets like other teams this late in the season, the Fever had to improvise improvise on the fly, simplifying action so players could survive in roles they weren't built for. It was basketball in survival mode, a patchwork rotation that was one injury away from unraveling completely. And then Sophie Cunningham went down, the one player who gave them toughness, spacing, and attitude suddenly removed from the floor. Her absence wasn't just about lost points, it was about losing the glue that held this fragile rotation together. By halftime, Indiana wasn't just short-handed, they looked broken. Rotation stretched thin, bodies exhausted, and morale teetering. On paper, this game was over before the third quarter even started, but what happened next proved that the Fever weren't interested in paper. They weren't interested in odds, and they weren't about to fold just because everything pointed to disaster.
Every day in our huddle, that's what we say together. And it's just more than words for us. I think when you see things happening, there's no other way. If you spread apart, the season goes down quicker than anything else. And we talked about with the injuries, people are probably expecting us to just fold, just like you said. And that's not us. We come in the locker room and we're motivated. We continue to be motivated every single time we step on that floor. At halftime, we're motivated, chip away. And that's our mindset. And just continue to uplift people. When one person goes down, we say it all the time, the next woman stands up. And that's really just been our motto and been what we've had to do a lot this season, and that's what we're just going to continue to do.
How does she magically lower her shoulder into Sophie Cunningham's legs? Can somebody please explain that to me? Can somebody please explain those physics again? Don't want to hear it, because this is a dirty player.
If fans were furious about the no call, Sophie Cunningham's family took that rage and turned it into a megaphone. Within hours, her sister Lindsay was blasting the WNBA directly on social media. Maybe you should focus less on finding players for commenting on poor officiating and more on hiring refs who can actually call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Those words cut deeper than any fan rant. This wasn't random frustration. It was blood family, calling the league out for failing to protect their own. And it didn't stop there. Sophie's mother, Paula, piled on, sharing a post that called Bria Hartley plain mean and out of control, accusing her of playing reckless and dangerous basketball. Think about what that does to the conversation. This wasn't just about a single injury anymore. It became a public indictment. Families of players who know the risks better than anyone were now saying the league wasn't doing enough to protect its stars. To fans scrolling through those posts, it only confirmed what they already felt. This wasn't bad luck, it was negligence. The backlash spread fast. Social feeds filled with demands for Hartley to be suspended, for referees to face accountability, for the league to step in before another star went down. But instead of seeing Indiana collapse under the weight of anger, something else happened. The fire spread from the fans to the locker room, and that's when the game shifted.
Yeah. Yeah, MRI tomorrow.
Sorry, just quickly on something. I mean, what's going through your mind when you see her down like that, and you're jogging over there?
I'm like, holy shit. I mean, especially the way that she fell and, how she was holding herself and how much pain she was in. At the time, it's like crap. And then you go down there and you see her and it's like, okay, just want her to calm down and be able to regroup.
Oh, and Cunningham is down. My goodness.
Time out.
Should be. Scary moment as we went to commercial. Sophie Cunningham hit the floor hard, and she is being helped off the floor, heading back to the locker room.
At halftime, everything pointed toward disaster. Cunningham was gone, rotations were shredded, and the Fever trailed with no rhythm, no energy, and no clear direction. Teams in this situation usually fold. They take the loss, chalk it up to injuries, and move on. But Indiana didn't. Inside that locker room, the mood wasn't defeat, it was defiance. The team leaned on the same motto they've been repeating all season. Next woman up. One goes down, the rest stand taller. And instead of seeing Sophie's injury as a breaking point, they treated it as fuel. Coach Stephanie White told reporters later that it wasn't about schemes or adjustments. It was about mentality. They weren't going to win this game by running clean sets. They had to chip away, play gritty, and fight for every single steal possession. And that's exactly what they did. When the Fever came out for the second half, it wasn't the same team that limped into the locker room. They were diving on the floor, battling for rebounds, and refusing to let Connecticut dictate the pace. It was survival basketball, but it was also something else. It was a statement. This wasn't the Indiana team the league expected to roll over. This was a squad determined to show they could take every hit, every foul, every injury, and still come back swinging. And leading that charge was one player who decided the game would not end without her stamp all over it.
Bria Hartley deserves zero benefit of the doubt. And Sophie Cunningham's family not too happy. I believe this is Mama C. Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing mean and plays out of control. Looked out of control to me. Maybe you should focus, her sister. Maybe you should focus less on finding players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are capable to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you. The only good thing positive surrounding Sophie Cunningham coming out of this game, she looked in good spirits in the locker room.
When the third quarter began, Kelsey Mitchell had just 4 points. By the end of the night, she had delivered one of the most jaw-dropping performances in Fever history. Mitchell completely transformed after halftime. She stopped waiting for the game to come to her and started demanding the ball, attacking defenders with a relentlessness Connecticut simply couldn't stop. Step back jumpers, drives through traffic, deep threes, you name it, she hit it. Every shot carried the weight of a season, and she didn't flinch once. By the time the buzzer sounded, Mitchell had dropped 38 points, tying her career high. Even more staggering, 34 of those points came after halftime, including 10 in overtime when the Fever needed her most. Her efficiency was just as lethal as her volume, 11 of 22 from the field, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, and nearly perfect at the free throw line. The crowd knew they were watching something special. Every bucket pushed the volume higher until MVP chants rained down. Caitlin Clark, watching from afar, even joined the chorus on social media with 2 simple words: MVP Kels. And it wasn't just about the points. This game put Mitchell in the Fever record books, passing Tamika Catchings for the most 30-point games in franchise history. That milestone mattered. It proved Mitchell isn't just a streak scorer. She's been consistently elite season after season, and now, in Indiana's moment of desperation, she was the one carrying them back from the brink. By the time overtime rolled around, it didn't matter who Connecticut threw at her. Mitchell was locked in, hitting daggers that erased any doubt. This wasn't a next woman up moment. This was her moment, the kind of takeover that defines a player's legacy. But as brilliant as she was, Mitchell didn't do it alone. Indiana's comeback wasn't built on one star. It was built on a group of unexpected heroes who rose to the occasion when nobody thought they could.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you too. Proud of you.
I'm so proud of you guys. I know that sometimes it sounds like just a word when we talk about being resilient, but it's not, man. It's how we live.
Yep.
It's how y'all live, and it's a tribute to you. It's a tribute to your connectedness, your togetherness, your toughness, your mindset. You never give up gritty attitudes. Like, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And
an assassin, Kelsey Mitchell, has a new career high. Backdoor Mitchell bouncing in the paint for 2. Kelsey Mitchell, the big is matched up. Mitchell squeezing through for 2 at the fall. Fouls on the other end. It's Mitchell launching it and connecting. Your New England Ford dealers and the Ford Bronco family goat modes, the official SUVs of the Connecticut Sun. Mitchell connects.
Reading the defense and reckless closeout. So you have to make sure you let the shooter land here. Landing space needs to happen. Looks like Mitchell also clutching her leg here as well.
Regular close-up review. If it is, it's going to be just make 1. Okay, because it went in.
Kelsey Mitchell may have stolen the headlines, but the Fever's comeback would have crumbled without the players who stepped into roles they were never supposed to carry. Odyssey Sims signed on a hardship contract just to fill out the roster, played like she'd been part of the system for years. She finished with 19 points and 7 assists, but the numbers don't tell the whole story. Sims broke full court presses, navigated traps, and gave Mitchell the ball exactly where she needed it. In a game without a true point guard, Sims became the steady hand that kept the offense alive. Aaliyah Boston anchored the paint with yet another double-double. 14 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and a pair of blocks. She fought off double teams, crashed the glass, and gave Indiana second chances that turned into momentum-shifting buckets. It was her presence inside that allowed Mitchell the space to dominate outside. Then there was Lexie Hull. She only scored 8 points, but one of them will be remembered for years. With less than a minute left in overtime, Hull found herself in the corner, caught the kick out, and buried the dagger 3 that sealed the win. One shot, one moment, and the Suns' hopes evaporated. Natasha Howard added muscle when Indiana needed it most, putting up 18 points and 9 rebounds while absorbing contact in the paint. Her scoring burst in the second half gave Mitchell room to rest and reloaded the Fever's attack just when it threatened to stall. And Brianna Turner. Her stat line was modest, but her defensive presence in the second half was massive. She switched across multiple positions, disrupted passing lanes, and forced Connecticut into mistakes at the exact moments Indiana needed stops. Together, they embodied resilience. Each one filled a hole that could have sunk the team. Each one turned what looked like a guaranteed loss into a historic comeback. But the story didn't end with one victory. What this game revealed about Indiana stretched far beyond a single night.
Kelsey, your second half, you get 34 of your points just more.
Damn!
The last after halftime, what took over you? How did you get it done on the floor?
I think it was more about what we did from a standpoint of like the mindset and the mentality. From half to half, it sucked for me. First half, it just wasn't, and I think that, it wasn't as well for our group, but the resiliency is true in our room. Seeing Soph go down and then knowing what happened with Sid and knowing what happened with Ari, and then knowing what happened with Cece, it's like, I think a lot of it was just God and being able to like stay prepared and stay in your mental state to be able to compete. But I really think that that's the most resilient that we've ever been because of everything we've been through. So I think a lot of it you just tap into your team and you just love on your team, and I think great things can happen.
I don't even think there are any words. I mean, when you look at Kelsey's play and you look at what she means to the squad, coming out in that second half and going off the way that she did, I think it kind of speaks for her case in general. She comes out, she defends, she scores the ball, she plays 40 minutes a game, and it's just like, and she still consistently puts up these numbers. I feel like if she's not MVP, shoot.
MVP is crazy. I don't even think I thought about that.
That's cool.
The scoreboard said 99-93, but this win was bigger than a number. It was the largest comeback in Fever history, a rally from 21 points down that nobody believed was possible. And they did it without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without a healthy backcourt. On paper, it should have been impossible. But what Indiana showed was something deeper than tactics or talent. They showed resilience. They proved that even stripped down to scraps, this team refuses to quit. In a season where every setback seemed like it could be the breaking point, the Fever turned those cracks into fuel. For fans, the message was clear. This roster is more than a one-player story. Mitchell isn't just filling space until Clark returns. She's carving out her own MVP case. Boston isn't just the rookie of the year. She's building a foundation for the franchise. And role players like Sims, Hull, Howard, and Turner proved they can step up when the spotlight finds them. But the other message is harder to ignore. Cunningham's injury wasn't an isolated moment. It was part of a troubling trend the WNBA can't afford to overlook. When star players keep going down in games with questionable officiating, it doesn't just impact one team, it impacts the entire league. Fans want toughness, yes, but they also want fairness. They want stars protected, not pushed to the sidelines. Indiana's victory gave their season new life, pushing them back into the playoff picture. But it also raised a bigger question. How long can a team survive if the league doesn't step in to address the pattern of reckless hits and dangerous no calls? That's the line Indiana now walks, celebrating resilience while demanding accountability. And for the Fever, it means every game forward carries more weight than just wins and losses. It's about proving they can't be ignored no matter what obstacles stand in the way.
We will never be counted out because that is worth gold. That is worth gold. Kels, God damn, baby. Put us on your back. Oh, big time.
Mabry knifes off the screen. Charles is doubled.
And Indiana looks like they're in a zone right now.
Kick out and stolen by Mitchell. Explodes 2-on-1. Sims elevates for 2 and a foul.
Bug with their point guards. This is where you have Odyssey Sims coming in. Kelsey Mitchell making a great heads-up play here, but Odyssey Sims has done a great job early on coming in.
Boston backs down Hartley. Aaliyah Boston, excellent post position. Picks up the dribble. Shot clock winding down to 7. Mabry, lob pass. Charles catches. No foul call. That's a huge no call. Looks for cutters. Charles the defense. Back on to Boston. Tina Charles. Backdoor Mitchell pouncing in the paint for 2. 30 points for Mitchell. That's the 4th on Charles.
Can't get caught ball watching right there. Great recognition by Boston as Mitchell makes that backdoor cut.
Shot clock down to 6 for the Fever. Turner, up fade. Turner kicks it. Hole 3-pointer. Bottom.
Indiana's just...
Sophie Cunningham's injury was supposed to break Indiana. Instead, it revealed exactly who they are. A team that refuses to fold no matter how many hits they take. Kelsey Mitchell's 38-point masterpiece, backed by the grit of Sims, Boston, Hull, Howard, and Turner, turned a night of disaster into a night that rewrote the record books. But as much as this victory showed Indiana's resilience, it also raised a bigger question. How many more stars have to go down before the WNBA finally takes action? How many more no calls and reckless plays will fans have to watch before accountability becomes a priority? For now, the Fever are still standing, playoff hopes alive, and their message clear. Count them out at your own risk. They've proven they can take every blow and come back swinging. The only question is how much longer the league can afford to ignore the pattern that keeps putting its biggest names on the line. If you support Sophie and the Fever, drop a speedy recovery wish for her in the comments below. And before you head out, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in this wild season. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.